Well, hello then, I do hope you're all well, and I do hope you're all having a lovely Sunday afternoon. Now, is this one of the absolutely brilliant best House of Commons speech ever made? Well, I suppose it's up to you, but on the 3rd of July 2017, Labour MP for Crewe and Nantwich, Laura Smith, made her maiden speech. So, just a simple question, is it absolutely brilliant best House of Commons maiden speech ever made?
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker, and may I offer you my congratulations in your new role. Firstly, I would like to acknowledge my immediate predecessor, Edward Timpson, who served the previous government as Minister of State for Children and Families. Edward was known for his desire to improve the care system for vulnerable children. I would also like to pay tribute to the late MP, Mrs Gwyneth Dunwoody, who was and is to this day regarded as one of the greatest parliamentarians to have sat in this House. I intend to serve the diverse communities in my constituency with the same level of unwavering tenacity as Gwyneth did during her 25 years' service. It is a source of great pride for me to have been elected to represent the constituency where I was born and raised and continue to live with my family today. As the granddaughter of a Scottish miner, I was brought up on a diet of working-class values. During my childhood, our family had real times of struggle, but that tough resilience and determination ingrained in my roots have always driven us forward. I know what it's like to grow up living with loved ones who are plagued by mental illness, and I also know what it's like to be a single mother with a modest income, struggling to make ends meet. I can promise today that I will never, ever forget where I have come from. As a teacher and as a parent, my love for education will not come as a surprise. Before my journey into politics, I was known for leading the Fairer Funding campaign in Crewe and Nantwich, which I am still committed to. I stand here today for the children in my constituency, and I will continue to prioritise their education, my children's education, the future of this country's education, for as long as I am in the House. Nantwich is a picturesque market town, home to the world's biggest cheese awards, and we will in fact be celebrating the best of cheese later this month. And we are proud of our annual Jazz and Blues Festival that attracts more than 40,000 revellers to the town. Needing little introduction, Crewe is synonymous with railways. At its height, Crewe Works employed 20,000 workers, but that number has now fallen to fewer than 1,000. Crewe deserves investment, and I welcome the commitment in the Queen's speech to bring forward legislation to deliver the next phase of HS2, as this will undoubtedly benefit Crewe. The surrounding areas of Crewe and Nantwich are scattered with villages steeped in local tradition, and it is important that the people of Shavington, Williston, Wisterson, Wimbury and Haslington know that I will work hard to support their communities. These places are all united by the hard-working, community-spirited, salt-of-the-earth, proud northern folk that live and work there. It is the nature of my hard-working constituency that I want to focus on in this, my first speech. I want to pay tribute to the British workforce. Every single one of Britain's 31 million workers ought to be recognised and celebrated as the real wealth creators in this country. Without them, this country would grind to a halt. Unemployment levels in Crewe and Nantwich are lower than average for the North West and lower than the UK average, and yet food banks in my constituency provided more than 50,000 meals last year, and almost 4,000 children are living in poverty. These are not mere statistics for me to be concerned about, but each and every one is nothing less than a travesty. This reflects the changing nature of poverty in the UK. There are now more people in working poverty than in out-of-work poverty. It would seem that in 21st century Britain, work simply doesn't pay in many cases. Just a few more facts for you. More than 1 in 5 workers earn less than the living wage, and more than half of working households have seen no improvement in their disposable income in more than a decade. Under 25s are not even entitled to the government's national living wage, which is in itself inadequate and falls short of a real living wage. Full-time working lone parents are often the worst affected. Having been a single mother myself, I know how tough and isolating it can be. And 47 years after the Equal Pay Act, the gender pay gap still stands at wholly unacceptable levels. This inequality follows women into their retirement as lower pay translates into lower occupational pensions. Instead of addressing this, the previous Chancellor prioritised changes to the state pension that have shattered the retirement plans of women born in the 1950s with devastating consequences. I stand with the WASPy women fighting against this injustice. We should also celebrate the fact that there are now a record number of female MPs in Parliament by acting to finally eradicate gender inequality in the workplace. We have a duty to address all forms of poverty as a priority, but the fact that we have in-work poverty in the 5th richest country in the world is shameful, and it is a sad indictment of our economic policy. Work should be an escape route from poverty. And it is wrong to claim that we're all in this together. CEOs can earn in 2.5 days what it takes the average worker an entire year to earn. I also can't help but wonder whether action on poverty pay might be addressed more urgently if we, in this House, had to do our jobs on a worker's wage. Is it any wonder that so many people are infuriated by the hypocrisy of MPs receiving inflation-busting pay rises themselves whilst voting to cap the pay of dedicated professionals who work in our public services? If this government wants to show the UK workforce that it values them, it can. It can start by giving them the pay rise and financial security that they deserve. Actions speak louder than words, and I will continue to hold the government to account on this issue. In the words of Nelson Mandela, as long as poverty, injustice and gross inequality persist in our world, none of us can truly rest. And fellow members, I have no intention of resting.
No, I don't know whether it is absolutely the best maiden speech you've ever heard, but I got the feeling it was certainly from the heart, wasn't it? I know I've had the fluency of Thomas Shepherd's, or maybe the passion of Mary Black's. But someone mentioned Laura Smith's maiden speech in the comments below last week, so Laura's maiden speech clearly spoke for them, didn't it? So, is there someone's maiden speech that resonates with you? Well, if there is, let me know, and till the next time I shall bid you farewell and take care.